Okay, morning. It's Friday, the 26th of June, just after 10 o'clock, around about 10 o'clock. Just putting this quick recording together to take you through the presentation that I shared with Alan, and so that you've got an understanding. It's not going to be very fancy, but just to give you some idea of what I understand and what I believe is correct. Some of what I'm going to share with you is with regards to Jesus' birthday, I think is factual. I don't think there's any argument with that. I think that is 100% correct, what I'm going to show you. Some of the stuff with regards to the timing of the escapes and my understanding of the three groups may be completely incorrect, and in which case we'll know fairly soon. I'm already a little bit concerned about the understanding because I expected something to happen this morning already. But it is possible that it only happen later this evening, so that it will be the morning in the US when it happens. But if we get into tomorrow, then we obviously that understanding is completely wrong. And excuse me. So we'll just take it as it comes. So the first thing I just want to do, I like to type the loose ends. And so these are some of the things that we've discussed in the past. Okay, we know that it should be 40 days and 40 nights. I believe that it's 40 consecutive days. There's been a time when we've counted 40 days and we've not counted the new moons, and that's all proved to be incorrect. And so I believe it is supposed to be 40 consecutive days because of this wording in Noah, and the same wording is used in for Moses, when Moses goes up for his 40 days and 40 nights, and I think that's what it's all about there. Then we've got the 7-day loading of the ark, and we've got a 7-day wedding. That's her week. That's for Leah, and none of that understanding seems to be built into the current understanding of the timing. And I believe that should be, there must be a 7-day before the escape event. So then we've got the little boy, the Swedish boy's vision. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday situation. We're taking this with a pinch of salt. It may be completely wrong, but there is something there. We'll see what happens. Then we've got that 8-day training, the Sparrow Cloud 9 vision, where she saw a group of people being trained for 8 days, starting on the Friday and ending on the Sunday. And then we've got Jesus' birth date, and we'll have a look at that. And now, obviously, now that we understand that the true calendar is the one that begins the month on the full moon, then obviously the 15th on that calendar, the 15th of the third month is a dark moon, and we know from Stellarium that Jesus was born on a full moon, so it cannot be the 15th of the third month anymore if we are going to accept that the Creator's calendar is correct. So we need to just go through and define when exactly is Jesus' birthday. And I'll take you through that. And then we've got this before summer, but the problem is I don't know if we fully understand when summer starts. I'm not convinced that the summer starts on the summer solstice or the day of the summer solstice, as some believe. I think it's a little bit after, and I've got a sneaky feeling that it's got something to do with the first full moon after the summer solstice is the beginning of summer. So I believe that is where the escape should be happening. That happens on the 4th of July, or the 5th of July is would be the first day of summer. It is my understanding, and I believe Alan is correct. It should happen before summer. So we just need to check that out, and there's something else that I haven't worked on much. And then we've got the three groups, where the glory of the Father, the glory of the Son, and the glory of the angels that Jesus spoke about. And we had that little boy's vision where he saw 3 aeroplanes. One, and his father went in one, his mother went in one, and him and his brother went in another one. And so I think we've also kind of dropped that whole understanding, and I think it needs to be included in the full picture. So those are the main loose ends I think that need to be tied in, and I'm going to present something to you that I believe brings all of those factors into the equation. As I say, it might be wrong. Okay, at first we need to have a look at what we understand, and we understand at the moment that we've got the Feast of New Grain, the Feast of Weeks of New Grain. That is definitely on the 16th of the third month, in other words, the first working day after the Sabbath being the 15th day of the third month. And we know that we count off 7 weeks and or 50 days, 50 weekdays, 10 days, and we've got a 10-day story and a 40-day story there in Exodus as well. which takes us through to the Feast of Weeks, new wine, which we know will be the 9th of Av, and it's the 12th of August. Even on this new calendar, this is all 100% correct and nothing changes here. I've put in the dates. This is the Exodus story. They arrived at Mount Sinai on this day, the 16th of the 3rd, and God said to them they must prepare, and they had to, and he was on Mount Sinai before them, and he spoke to them on the 18th day of the 3rd month. And then we know that there's from the 19th to the 24th day, there was 6 days of 6 days smoke on the mountain, and a whole lot of things happened there. That's when Moses had written down the law that he received on the 18th day. They built an altar, there were sacrifices, they sealed the covenant in blood, and there was 74 people, including Moses, that went up and had a meal with the Lord. Now, it's not clear. I've always understood that happened on the 19th, but the truth of the matter is it actually could have happened on any of these days from between the 19th and the 24th. We know that the 25th day, which would be the 10 days from their arrival, or 7 days from when God spoke to them on the 18th, we know that Moses went up on this day, the 25th day, maybe into the 26th day. He went up for the 40 days, and that's when the 40 days must start. And this instance, it's 40 weekdays, not 40 consecutive days. So we've got that situation there. In Moses' case, he had 40 days and 40 nights, that's 40 consecutive days. So it might have actually been a little, there's this 3-day issue that I haven't been able to resolve. But that doesn't change the position of the two feasts. So at the moment, this is the calendar we thought that Jesus was born on this day, and I just want to go through that. I don't believe that is incorrect. You see, that's a dark moon, and we know for a fact that the 17th of June of 2 BC was a full moon according to Stellarium, and that's the day that Venus and Jupiter are in conjunction, the Bethlehem star, you can't get that day wrong. You go one day before, one day after, and they're no longer in conjunction. So we know that the 17th of June 2 BC is the right date, but it was a full moon according to Stellarium, so this can't be the right date anymore. So we need to find the new date. So we know that the rules for a lunar solar calendar, the rules are as follows. The month starts on the day when the full moon sets as the sun is rising. So if you had to go into Stellarium and you set it up, so you find the day when the full moon is setting, as the sun is coming up on the east side and the moon is going down on the west side, that is when that happens, that morning that happens, that is new moon day. That's the first day of the month. That's the first rule. That's how every single month is determined on the lunar solar calendar. That's every single month. Some months will end up having 29 days, and some months will have 30 days, but the test is always starts when this happens. Okay, that's the important thing. The next thing is the year starts when this happens in Virgo. So when you go to Stellarium and you find when the full new moon sets in Virgo and the sun is rising in the east, that will be the first day of the first month. So we know exactly how to determine when that happens, because we've got, Stellarium, and it's based on the movement of the sun, moon, and stars. You see, now we're including the stars because the stars is Virgo, and that's how, now this calendar is exactly following this method, follows the rules that God set to us in Genesis. So if we go and have a look, we can now, with this understanding of these rules, we can rebuild the calendar without any outside influence. We can other than Stellarium, and I do believe that Stellarium is correct. Okay, obviously if Stellarium is corrupted, then this whole thing falls aside. But I believe that it is correct. It's proven. We've observed it. Many people have observed the movements in Stellarium and matched it up to what's happening in the skies, and so I think that we're working with a tool that is not corrupted. So by using Stellarium, I just want to take you through some examples of the Creator's calendar. This is 2018. This is the first month. According to them, the 31st of March was New Moon Day. So if we go to Stellarium, we set it up. I've got a mismatch here now. Sorry, this one is not matched correctly. Sorry. Let me just go to the next one. That one was, I didn't match the two pictures correctly. Yeah, this is the 19th, the 20th of the 19th. We've got 19 April was New Moon Day. If we set it up 19 April 2019 for the morning, this is the morning, this is sunrise. And there we see there we see the full moon, okay, full moon is setting in Virgo, okay, and I don't show it here, but the sun is rising as well. You can see by the time. So just as the sun is rising and the moon is setting, this only happens on one day in any month. We can't get it right. If you change this by 1 day forward or 1 day back, you don't have this situation. So we know this day was in fact the first day of the first month, the beginning of the year. And later, the next month, in the second month, the third month, you'll see this Virgo disappears and the moon shifts. Every time the moon sets and the sun rises, you've got this beginning. It gets further and further and further up the ecliptic and goes around until eventually it comes around and it starts the new year all over again. So, and we could just go to another example. We got April 8. There's set for April 8. It is 2020, first month. So that's New Moon Day. We can just verify it. There's sunrise time. There's the moon setting in Virgo. And as the sun is rising, so we can confirm for ourselves that these guys have got the right start for the year. That's important. This is what determines whether some years might add an extra month to get to this situation. They might not have this situation, and then they would add an extra month to get to the point where the moon is setting in Virgo as the sun is rising for the new year. So that's so now we can apply these rules to determining the first day of the year in 2 BC from the stars, the sun and the moon. And if we go to, we'll find that we must remember 2 BC in Stellarium is -1 because they count the year 0 as a year. Year 0 is not a year, so we, instead of putting -2 here, we put -1. So that is 2 BC. And this we're in March 22, and we find that this is the day, this is the morning. There at sunrise, you can see there's the moon setting. Virgo is just here. You can just see it's just off the picture here in this particular instance, but you can just see her feet. Okay, there's Virgo, and the sun is rising on the east. So you've got the moon setting, and so this is the first day. There is some argument. I had a chat with Alan, and he was of the view that it's more 21. This particular year, it's a knife's edge. Okay, it could be 21, it could be 22. In the end, we agreed that because this moon year wasn't fully illuminated, in fact, it is 21. So I've adjusted my calendar to show 21 in this particular. So I haven't changed this picture, but I do believe 21 is the first day. Okay, so yeah, I've just adjusted the calendar. I drew up a calendar, so from 21 March through to, so we've got, there's the first month, and because when I had it at 22, there were 29 days in the month. But because we've agreed now that New Moon Day was in fact 21 March in 2 BC, there's actually 30 days in the month. There's the first month. Then we can carry on and we can build. We now go back to we go back to Stellarium again, and we look for the new moon. The same rules are applied. And we find the New Moon Day, and there we have the first day, and we can find in this month there were 30 days, and we do exactly the same thing for the third month. We find New Moon Day for the third month based on the sun, moon, and the stars, and we've come to the 20th of May, and we've got, in this case, 29 days. And now we've also got, we know that this happened because we've got a match now. We know when the 17th of June. We know that that is the day that on Stellarium that the Venus and Jupiter are in conjunction. You cannot get it one day or one day before one day. We know it's marking that day clearly. And now we've got a match. We can see Jesus was in fact born on the 29th day of the third month. Now, when we go to have a look at, this is the day, the 17th of June, 2 BC. This is in the evening. The reason why he must have been born towards the evening at sunset, or maybe just before sunset, or just after sunset, I believe it's just before, is because at sunrise, this is below the horizon, and as the sun gets up, they would not have seen the Bethlehem star the whole day, because the sun would have blocked them out. Only when the sun went down or almost as it was going down, this was so bright that they would have a star would have suddenly appeared in the sky. As the sun was busy going on, when you've got that orange hue, then just before, as the sun is going, I believe that is when they would have seen the star, and I believe that's when Jesus was born, because and we had a lengthy debate, Alan and I, as to whether he was born after sunset, which would make him be born on the first day of the 4th month and not the 29th day of the 3rd month. That would put him on, and we know, and I can verify, New Moon Day is the 18th of June is New Moon Day. So it's a question, was Jesus born on the Sabbath, on the 29th day of the 3rd month, which is always a Sabbath on the Lunar Solar Calendar, or was he born on New Moon Day? I am of the view that he was born on the Sabbath, just before New Moon, just before the night. I believe he was born in the day, not in the night. Okay, so that's something that can be argued. I believe that he was born around about 6 o'clock. In fact, just before this time, somewhere around 6 o'clock in the evening, he would have been born just before at the end of the day, and that would have made him a 17 June birth, which would be the 29th day of the 3rd month. Okay, so that's pretty much, okay, if we go and have a look at, this is just confirming that New Moon Day in that year is in fact the 18th. We set it to the 18th, and we look in the morning, excuse me, there's the morning, there's the moon setting, there's the sun rising, and we know for a fact that this day is New Moon Day, the 18th of June is New Moon Day. And everything we now know exactly. We can build our own calendar without outside influence, without the Hebrews mucking around with things, and nobody can muck with the stars and the sun and the moon, so not even Satan. So I do believe we've got a true calendar, and that Jesus was born on late of the 29th day of the 3rd month. That's where Jesus. Now that corresponds to 4 July this year, so that has, we've got a whole lot of things, and there's the full moon and all those things, so that's where Jesus' birthday is. So now that we know where his birthday is, we have to deal with a whole lot of things that related to the escape, and things that, we've got that vision of that little girl that said after Jesus' birthday. So there's that, and now we've got a Friday, Saturday, Sunday situation. Is it that we've got that the escape happens on July the 5th, the Sunday, July the 5th, after Jesus' birthday, on New Moon Day? So we've got a New Moon Day, full moon, New Moon Day, and that is a possibility. Then in that case, her vision would be true, and the little boy, maybe there's a Friday the 28th situation, I think something happened here. July the 3rd, which is the 28th day, maybe there's a group going there, and we've got a Friday, Saturday, Sunday escape situation. Then you'll see now the 40 days. There's enough days from 4 July there's just enough days to get to the 9th of Av in 40 days. So Jesus, if this understanding is correct, and the escape happens here on the first day of the 4th month, or in this case, the 5th of July, then we've got a situation that the escape happens and the 40 days start simultaneously, and I'm not convinced that that is correct. Where's the wedding? Where's the loading time? So I'm not saying it's wrong. Alan is of this view, and you'll probably put out a teaching shortly in that regard and explain this whole calendar thing. But I'm just concerned that we might be in trouble, and there's a reason why I had to put this presentation together, and maybe we'll soon know what the reason is. Okay, so let's just get back to this chart. We've already discussed this part. We know when the Feast of Weeks are. And now what happens is when we know when Jesus' birthday is, that's on the 4th of July, or just before the 4th of July. On the 4th of July is his birthday, up to the evening of the 4th of July. And now if we work in reverse, we know that the 9th of Av, which is the 12th of August on the correct calendar, and we go backwards 40 days, we come exactly to the 4th of July. So from 4 July is day 1, and you can fit in 42 days so that it ends up, the day 40 would be the 9th of Av, and that's the end of the 40-day warning by the Son of Man. Then I've got this, and I'll explain this a little bit further. This is all related to the elders. That story in the Exodus where the 74 elders go up the mountain, and they have a meal with God, and it happened sometime in between the 19th day and the 24th day of the third month. I believe that it happened probably on the 20th or the 21st day of the month. I think it was the 20th day, which would be, maybe it was the 21st day, which would be today. Today, I thought that this morning, maybe they went up later in the evening. I don't know exactly what time they went, but I think there is a relationship between this elders going up and the first group, the working group, and that's what I'm going to get into now. So obviously this morning has come and gone for us, and maybe it's this evening. So if by this evening this doesn't happen, then what I'm about to explain to you now is all wrong. Okay. Right, so Ezekiel gave me some ideas, and I just want to talk about Ezekiel because Ezekiel's telling us a similar story. Ezekiel chapter 1 to 11. We've got the arrival of the Lord that starts in chapter 1, verse 1. He clearly gives us a starting point, the 5th of the 4th month. That's the 5th of Tammuz. Okay, I'll explain that now. That's the one thing. Then if you read chapter 2, there's a whole lot of warning instructions. He says, son of man, go and warn an Indian. There's a lot of warning instructions. All the instructions are in here, and it continues in chapter 3. And in chapter 3, there's a delay of 7 days. So when he's finished the instructions, Ezekiel's taken in the spirit in his land of captivity. This is when they were in Babylon. He received this when he was in Babylon. So this has got nothing to do with the first temple siege and destruction, and I doubt it's got anything to do with the second. So I really believe that this is for our time. And if you look at the rest of the chapters, I'm even more clear that this is for our time. Anyway, so there was a 7-day delay, and then the Son of Man came, and there was an angel came that is, when you read the angel that came to him after the 7 days, it fits the perfect description the same description that John saw in Revelations, and the same description that Daniel saw on his 24th day after fasting for 21 days. So there is something happening here at the end of the 7 days. And I believe that is the beginning of the 40 days. But something else happens here when you have a look at the arrival. This is a whole arrival situation, this day here. And that relates to the 27th of June on our map, on our calendar. So that's tomorrow. This happens on it, but there's a whole arrival. This arrival and the arrival that's described over here is two different things. If you have a look at it, this seems to be the Father, this seems to be the Son. You can read it for yourselves. Then you've got chapter 4, you've got you've got some duration. There's the siege, and there's two durations that are given. There's the 390-day duration and the 40-day duration, and I'll get into that now. And then you've got chapter 5 is all judgments on Judah. How many will be killed? The third killed, the third die in the famine, and the third end up being going into captive. So there's the judgment of Judah. Chapter 6 is the judgment of Israel. That's the church. And it's really terrible. Anybody who's not sure about whether they want to be here or not, I can tell you, just read chapter 6 and 7, and you'll know you definitely don't want to be here. So chapter 7 is more about the Gentiles. There's Israel. This is more about the world, or the Gentiles, in other words, not the church. So he deals with them, his people, the church, and then he deals with the Gentiles. And then chapter 8, it starts off with giving us a date, 6th year, 6th month, 5th day. I was almost sad in a way that it wasn't the 6th day, because then we would have had a 666 situation. I don't know why it picked the 6th day, but maybe somebody changed it. I believe it's supposed to be the 6th day. Anyway, I'm not going to change the word. The word says the 5th day, but we've almost got a 6th. But if you look at what's described there, you've got all the abominations. Ezekiel's taken in the spirit to the temple, and God shows him this. He says, see how bad that is. And you think that's bad, come see this. And he says, you think that's bad, come see this. And he shows him all of these things. So these are all the abominations. And I believe that this is at the end of the seals. This is just before the 6th seal. All the bad things, all the little creatures that were there that he saw, that they had in their temple there, whatever they were doing. And I think this is the underground temple that is already built. They'll be doing all of that. They have probably been doing it already. And they'll be doing it even on a greater extent by this time. That's in 6.5 years' time from now, which is exactly right for the time of the seals. And in the next chapter, chapter 9, if you read it, it's all about the sealing of some people. He says, prepare your swords, and he's about to send them into the Jerusalem to kill all the people, but he sends an angel with a pen, and he marks and he seals off some people. And that, to me, is telling the story of the sealing of the 144,000. This is Revelation chapter 7. Okay, that happens. And then you've got chapter 10. If you read it, you'll see there's the 6th seal. The stuff that happens there, and you do read the description, you'll see there's the arrival of Mount Zion. There's no question about it. This is the 6th seal after the sealing, and that's the 6 seal come Mount. This is Jesus, the Mount Zion coming down, and then in chapter 11 he rebukes the Gentiles. This is now after, this is now he's going to deal with them, and he says, "And now I'm going to gather in my people." This is when he starts. This is now towards the end of the 6th seal and the beginning of the 7th seal, and he starts bringing his people in on the 7th seal, and the rapture happens here and all that stuff, and he starts preparing for the trumpets, which happens after this. I have not read, when you go back to Ezekiel chapter 12, it almost goes back to here, but I haven't really taken on. You can, I don't know, maybe somebody can take it on further. I've been up to this point. This was enough for me. We've got a 7-day, 40-day, 390-day situation. I'm going to show you, I believe that the 7-day delay is important. The 40 days is the 40-day warning, and the 390, I believe the 390 is the Red Horse Rider. The Red Horse Rider will be riding, the third will be a total of 309, just over a year and 1 month basically. Okay, so that's Ezekiel. So how does that relate to our timing? That's what I want to take you into now, and that's where I'm going to bring this part of the whole presentation together. So we've been through this part. We know that there's a relationship here. We know that God came on Mount Sinai on the 18th day, and we know Moses left on the 25th day, 26th day maybe, and we've got a 6-day plus 1. We've got a 7-day situation here. There was 3 days and 7 days, 10 days, 10 weekdays, and a 40-day. So we've been through that. Now, if we have a look at now, we go back to Ezekiel. Ezekiel's told the 5th day of the 4th month, or 5th of Tammuz. Okay, so that relates to 27 June. That's the one anchor. That's the anchor date given in Ezekiel 1, chapter 1 and 2. There's an anchor date given there. Then we've got a 7-day delay, and then that takes us to 27 June. So 5 Tammuz is 12 Tammuz, and that's 4th of July. So that takes us to 4th of July on the current map. And then if you add 40 days to that, you get to exactly the 12th of August, which we know is the true 9th of Av. On the Jewish calendar, it'll be the 22nd of Av, but we know that these guys, the 9th of Av is somewhere in here, but they've corrupted the calendar. They are 14 days ahead of where they should be. 13 days. If you take 22 minus 9, it's 13 days. They are 13 days this month ahead of where they should be. How's that for a number? 13 days. Isn't that coincidental? I don't think so. Okay, so I think that now in Ezekiel, God is giving them a timing on their calendar, knowing full well that they were going to mess up their calendar and they were going to have it all screwed up, but he gave them a timing, he gave them a marker on their calendar. But it all matches our calendar, it matches our timing. And what is this 7-day delay? What is this? Is this the beginning of the 40 days? Absolutely, that's the beginning of 40 days. That's when Jesus was born, and that's when the 40 days start. But the problem we have here is, where's the wedding? Where's the training? Where's the loading time? That's what this delay is all about. And so that's what I want to take you through. Now, I've mentioned the 390 days comes after. I believe although the 390 days was given before the 40 days, I believe the 390 days, it's over around 390 comes after the 40. This is the Red Horse Rider. And all those other things that are described are for this time here. All the warning stuff is happening here before the time is given, and all the other stuff is, all the bad things that are happening, chapter 5 right through to chapter 10 is all the stuff that's happening in this time here. Okay, so let me go into the 7 days. If we say that we've got if this is Jesus returning here at the beginning of the 40 days, and there's a 7-day wedding, then that must go back to the 27, 20, and I say 27 because it's 27 US, 28 Jerusalem. So you've got the two dates there. And so if we go back, that's where I believe somewhere here, 27. That's Sunday. That's Saturday, Sunday situation here, and that's like tomorrow. And that, I believe, is the one group going. I believe that's one group going to allow for a 7-day wedding before the 40 days. If we look at loading now, what is this all about here? The 20th day, that's another group. We said that was related to the 24 elders going up. I believe that's the first group, the working group. And I'm going to get in, I'll explain that a little bit further. The Friday. I think this is a Friday, Sunday, that boy's vision, Friday, today, Sunday, this coming Sunday for the main group. And then I believe there's a final group. This is the day Moses goes up. On the 25th, 26th day, Moses goes up, which will take us to the 30th of June, 1st of July up. That's Moses goes up. And then the door is shut. I believe that's when the door is shut, and there's a 3-day gap. And I'll talk about that 3-day gap between what happens there, the 1st of July and the 4th of July. There's a 3-day gap before the pawpaw hits the fan, to put it mildly. So we've got a 7-day loading period where the loading starts with the first group and it ends with the last group. There you can see 30, if you count the 26th day together with it, well, there's a 7-day period here taking us through there. That's the loading period. And this also allows for an 8-day training. If this is the working group going, that would be 8 days to the 4th of July. And that vision that was received in Sparrow Cloud 9 vision, that 8-day training. So that's where I think that's, if we just take that into this is just the markers. So the first group, it's a Thursday, Friday situation. It may, no, well, that's not true anymore. So maybe it's a Friday, everybody on the Friday, which would mean that we under more closer to Jerusalem time would be Friday evening, and for the US will be Friday very early in the morning. And I believe that is the working bride. That's Rachel. This is John's group. Remember, John comes before Luke, which comes before Mark, which comes before Matthew. John's group goes first, and that's where John's group goes. Then we've got the Saturday, Sunday group, the bigger group. This is Leah the bride. And Leah goes for her wedding, the 7-day wedding. This is Luke's group. This is Luke's group, second. And that's the bigger group. Then we've got this last bit. Who's this that could be coming? Remember, we've got the 3 groups. The glory of the Father, the glory of the Son, and the glory of the angels. I believe. Remember, Isaiah said, he said to Isaiah, go and get your bride of whoredom and children. Where's the children? I believe this is the children. I'm not talking about children as in age. I'm talking this is the family members. This is the people that the bride have been praying for and pleading for and asking the Lord for favor and saying, Lord, please bring them with me. I want them with me. Bring them with me. And this is the reward for the brides, I believe. And they will go just before the door is shut. The last. Remember, we got the loading period. They loaded the ark over a whole. They didn't all load in one day. It took them a week to load, and that's what we got here. And this is the final group, which will happen on the Tuesday, Wednesday situation, 3 days before the pawpaw hits the fan, and then the door is shut. And then I believe we've got a 3-day darkness situation, and I think that's where the 3-day darkness is. This is the time when, wow, I don't know what it's all going to be about, but it's not going to be good. And probably a lot of evil released and a whole lot of stuff. Now we've got the restrainer completely removed and we've got free reign here. So we've got the door opening here on Friday today and the door closing on next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, and or Thursday maybe, I don't know, loading period. And we've got the glory of the Father, the glory of Jesus, and the glory of the angels. Who are the angels? There's the angels, the 2 groups, the brides. This also relates when you go and read Ezekiel chapter 1, and you read about the read about the beasts that Ezekiel saw, and you read the description, and they've got faces, the face of a man, the face of an eagle, the face of a lion, and the face of an ox. And you go and read Revelations, and you read the 4 beasts there, exactly the same description. They got wings, and they got eyes under the wings, and they got hands under the wings, and there is a clear match between Ezekiel chapter 1, what Ezekiel saw coming down. It clearly matches Revelations. Now, when you go to Revelations chapter 4, and you go and read there, you'll see in chapter 5, the 24 elders and the 4 beasts, they sing a new song, and they say, you have redeemed us to be kings and priests. You have redeemed. There's only angels can't be redeemed. Only people can be humans can be redeemed. That is humans. The 24 elders and the 4 beasts are humans that are redeemed. And who gets redeemed? The redemption happens now. I really believe that the 24 elders, and I've said it before on the forum before a couple of times, I really believe the 24 elders and the 4 beasts are the 144,000, the true bride, which is in 2 parts, Rachel and Leah, comprising 24,000 for the 24 elders and 120,000 for the 4 beasts. And anyway, that's academic. I'm not going to get into that too much, but there's clearly a relationship there. And then the 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of thousands, I believe, is this group here that's coming in. Maybe the 10,000 is this group, and the thousands of thousands is this group. I don't know, but there's the 24 elders and the 4 beasts. I think is this group here, and maybe the 10,000 times 10,000 is this group, but I suspect that there's still a couple of things that are not 100% clear to me, but it's something along those sort of lines. And then this is the only way I can tie up all the loose ends. We've got the wedding, we've got the training, we've got the loading period, we've got the 40 days solid, 40 days and 40 nights without any interruptions. We've got all of those things. And okay, the birthday. Now, if in this instance, if that vision of the little girl is true, and we only go after his birthday, then this is not true. Except if we consider that on the Gregorian calendar, Jesus' birthday is effectively in the past. His birthday on the Gregorian calendar was the 17th of June in 2 BC. Therefore, it was the 17th of June on the Gregorian calendar this year, and we are after his birthday from a Gregorian calendar perspective. I don't know if that girl's vision was related to his birthday. You must remember, visions, as we know, we're not to take everything absolutely literal. They're there as a type and shadow, and we know that as this would still happen after his birthday if we regard his birthday to have occurred on the 17th of June on the Gregorian calendar. Of course, his birthday is still coming up on the true calendar on the 4th of July, but is it between the 2 birthdays? Is there such a whole lot going down between the two calendars? And we've also got a situation where God is clearly still using the Hebrew calendar, it seems, because to give them their warning. So is it a case of the Gregorian calendar for our start, the 17th of June, but everything he uses the true calendar, the Lunar Solar Calendar with the full moon as the new moon. So I think that's pretty much it. I hope that helps. That's where I'm standing. Of course, if Saturday comes and none of this happens, well, then maybe this is all wrong. Then I can just dump it, and it was incorrectly understood and incorrectly interpreted. We're getting pretty close to running out of time, so we'll soon see. And let me know what you think.